Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm software engineer at Union.ai. Today we're gonna talk about the image spec. So, what's image spec? So, people spend a lot of time to write the Docker file to run the Flyte tags, but writing a Docker file is painful, and sometimes you fail to run a task because module not found. You forgot to copy the code to the image. So we want to get rid of the Docker file. So we create image spec. Image spec give you ability to define the container requirement in your workflow code. Here's an example, you can define your Python package, apt package, and then you specify your registry. We will create a Docker image for you. So people don't like to write the Docker file, struggling with writing Docker file because sometimes they're not familiar with Docker file syntax. And the image spec also allow you to build images faster and then simplify manage multiple image. So how does Flyte build the image? So similar to TypeEngine, we have the ImageBuildEngine. So you can create your own image spec builder, tell Flyte how to push your image, and then you can register the image to the image registry in the ImageBuildEngine. So, and then you can specify your builder in the image spec, and then image spec will use your builder to build the image. And then by default, Flyte only have one image builder called Envd. I will talk about this in next slide. So Envd is an amazing project. It's built on top of Docker and use Buildkit under the hood. So it allows you to build an image with different architecture, and then you can parallelize the image build process. One of the examples is that if you use Docker to install a Python package, Docker will install your package sequentially. But if you use Envd, Envd will compile your requirement into IR or DAG, and then it will check if there is dependency between two packages. If there is no dependency between two packages, it will install those Python package in parallel. So Envd has a lot of other features. You can check out their website to see this project. Okay, let's do some demo. Okay, can you see my terminal?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So let's start with a simple workflow. So here, this is a basic Flyte workflow. I just print hello world in the tag. So in this case, you don't even need to build or write a Docker file. You can just run, and then Flyte will use the default image for your tags. And then let's see another example. Things get more complex when you use TensorFlow. So in this case, people have to write a Docker file for these TensorFlow tags. So you can see you have to copy the code to the root file. If you copy the code to other file, Flyte will fail to find your module. And then you have to install Flyte TensorFlow. And then you have to remove the apt cache. If you forgot to remove the cache, you may have gigantic Docker image. And then due to some security issue, you have to remove now. You have to update the user. You have to use non-root user in the image. So we want to get rid of the Docker file. people can use image spec. So define you add your package in the image spec, and you define your Docker Hub registry, and then that's it. You don't need to worry about how to remove the cache, how to change the user, and then how to copy the code. You only need to install the package. You only need to add your requirement to image spec, and then when you run, okay. When you run when you register the workflow, before you register the workflow, Flyte will build the image for you. See. You can see like use Envd to build the image, and then first you try to pull the Flyte base image, and then you will start installing the TensorFlow on top of it. Yeah. So one of the benefits of using image spec is that before building the image, Flyte will also look out the Docker Hub to check if the image exists. If image not exists, it will build in. If image exists, you will just keep building the image. So let's say I remove the panel here, and then because I already built this image before, so I can let me register this workflow again. Okay, you can see like image file still building, and then you can go to your workflow text template, and then you can see Flyte just replaced the image spec with the image name. So so the benefit of using the image spec is avoid to rebuilding the same image over time. Like let's say like here I have thousands of images in my Docker Hub, but I don't even know what package I install in this image. So every time I write a new example, I create a new Docker file and build the image. But I may already build the image before at some point. So, but I still have to rebuild the image. But by using image spec will just look out the Docker file, Docker Hub, and then find the same image you built before, and then just reuse the image. Okay, let's see another example here. So, if you have a workflow, have a TensorFlow task, and then Python task, typically people will install all these two dependency in the same image. So you may have a very large Docker image, and then you will take a lot of time to pull the image. To address this issue, we add a new function in image spec called is container. So when you run the T1 task, T1 is a TensorFlow task. You will check when you're running the task in the pod, you will check the image used in the pod is built from this TensorFlow image spec. If true, if this image is built from TensorFlow image spec, this statement will be true, and then you will only import TensorFlow and will not import Torch. So you can easily to build a workflow with multi-container, multi-image. Another example. So things get more complex. If you want to run a Spark task, if you have used Spark task before, you will This is this Docker file for running Spark tasks in Flyte. So you can see you have to install some dependency of Spark, like Spark jar, and you have to add some binary in your Docker files, like Spark submit. And then there's a lot of dependency you need to add in the Docker file, and then it's hard to convert this spec to the image spec. So what we do is that we in Flyte plugin, Flyte Spark plugin, we build a base Spark image. So every time you register this workflow, instead of pulling the Flyte base image, when you run the Spark task, you will try to pull the Spark base image. No. Okay. Here you can see, instead of pulling the Flyte base image, we pull the Flyte colon Spark 1.6.1. This Flyte Spark base image contains all the Spark dependency. So you don't need to worry about how to add Spark dependency into your Docker file. And then, so you only need to install all the Python dependency you need in the image spec. So to build the multi-arc image, people can just specify the different platform in image spec. By default, we use all the image is Linux and Envd64. So if we want to run the task on machine, you can just change the architecture here, and then build image. Yeah. And then you can go to the Flyte will build an image for you. You can see like I have a image, architecture image, and Envd64 image. Yeah. Okay. So in summary, like by using image spec, you learn to build image without Docker file. You just define your container requirement in your Flyte code. And then you also support a multi-arc image. And then by using Envd, after building the image, you will remove the unused cache from your Docker image. So you will get a smaller and linear image. And then by looking at the Docker hub, you can avoid rebuilding the same image over time. And then one more feature I forgot to mention, like Envd also support remote build. So let's say I don't want to build the image locally. You can when you use power run to build an image, Envd will create a local context by default. Here you can see I use default context. Default context will build image locally. Every context has a builder instance. So this builder will help you build an image. So let's say I already have created a remote context, and then I can check out. remote. So for now, I can close my Docker desktop. Okay, now I already closed my Docker desktop, and then I can run Python run again. Now building, and then you can see it still can start building the image without running Docker desktop locally. Okay. So by using Image Spec, you support the remote build, and then you also simplify the process of the building Spark image by using a base Spark image in Flyte. And then future world, like we would like to support the GPU Image Spec. For now, all the image doesn't have QDOF driver, so you can use this image to train the model, but we will support it in the next release. And then feel free to give it a try by install Flyte and Flyte plugin Envd 1.6. Yeah. Okay. Any question?
Thanks, Kevin, for demoing the feature. This feature could save a lot of time that typically goes into building images with Docker files. And it is abstracting away Docker, which I think simplifies the iteration process. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions or feedback?
Yeah, I only wanted to say that I think we are just discovering the implication of this feature for the better. I mean, it has the potential, in my opinion, to transform part of the process of how some of our users leverage Flyte in conjunction with, I don't know, CI/CD systems, and I think it's massive. Thank you, Kevin.
I saw some question in meeting chat. Do the package get installed at the workflow registration time? Yeah, all the package are installed at registration time. So Envd use Docker under the hood. So before register the workflow, you run Docker build locally. So you install those packages before in registration time.
Hey, Kevin, I have a question for you. This is a really cool way to like parallelize that install process. What was the situation that you ran into that kind of like inspired you to come up with a solution?
Your question is how do I come out with this solution?
Yeah, like it was like the use case like that had that bottleneck that required this.
Okay. So one of the use case there, like every time I write a workflow, I spend a lot of time to write a Docker file, and then I have a lot of example, Flyte workflow example locally, and then every week I will remove some Docker file and some workflow file. And then I find that next time if I write a same Docker file or write a new workflow, if those Docker file already built before, but I don't know, I forgot the image name in the Docker Hub. So I still have to rebuild the image. But by using Image Spec will calculate the hash from Flyte will calculate the hash from Image Spec and this hash will be the tag of the will be a tag of your Docker URL, and then you will look on the Docker Hub to see if the image is so. Which means if I already built the image at some point before, I don't need to rebuild the image again. And then another reason is that Envd is my friend. My friend is creator of Envd, and then he really want to integrate Envd into Flyte. So we find that like Envd is good at building the image, but in Flyte, we don't really like help user to manage or help user build the image. So how to build an image, people have to figure out by themselves. So with Envd, with Image Spec, people can like easily to build the image without worry about like how to remove the cache, how to make building the image faster. Like yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome like developer experience left.
Kevin, I have another quick question if you have time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you talked about it. I came in a little bit late, but what is the support for cloud builds directly, right? So the example, the demo that you were showing was it using a build kit essentially like locally with daemon local cache. Like what kind of support, for caching and for builds exist in Envd for, like running on a remote build kit cluster or something? Does that question make sense?
So, sorry, can you repeat that again?
So yeah, so I mean, briefly, the demo was running a Docker build locally on your machine, presumably as part of like the register process. But I was wondering if Envd also captures the use case where you might use a remote, build cluster as opposed to like a local Docker daemon. I don't know if it has support for that. Like, do you know? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the reason why we with remote build is that you can have a dedicated remote machine to build a Docker image. So let's say you can have like a machine with like 100 CPU, and then you allow you to build an image much faster. And sometimes like I don't want to run the Docker desktop locally because it usually occupy like 20 or 30, like 20 CPU locally. So I don't like to run the Docker desktop locally. And another reason to use remote build is that if in like, for example, in the company, like they can have a dedicated remote machine to build the image, and then everyone in the company can use this remote machine. So if someone already build the image on the remote machine, and then for example, like if someone already built the image for TensorFlow, remote machine will cache your TensorFlow package. So next time someone wants to write another workflow, this workflow also have TensorFlow dependency, and then he build the image on the remote machine. You will use the remote cache, so you can make building image much faster. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ketan, you want to say something?
No, I just want to say this is an amazing feature. I think I have myself, just to add to Kevin's thing, I myself have spent, just to write examples, sometimes we had to write Docker files. And this ended up causing problems for people of when to use the example, and the documentation for the example should include the Docker files, and how that's in a separate place. So we ended up writing many, many examples that use the base Docker file, right? Which is not the reality. So this just makes it extremely clear, clean, and I think goes well with our way of thinking in Flyte, which is two things. One is infrastructure and code are together; they are declarative. So this makes containers declarative. And secondly, you don't need to use your you don't really need to spend a lot of energy trying to understand how to run a multi-container image or multi-container workflows, etc. It should just be trivial. That's so amazing. Kudos, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
So how's the Docker image selected for Flyte Spark task? You mentioned it's automatically taken care of, right? So I haven't understood that very well.
Oh, yeah, good question. Like, so when you run the Spark task, you have to specify the Spark config. And then when if you specify the Spark config, you will use Spark Flyte Spark plugin, right? And then in Flyte Spark plugin, there's a __ init. So every time you code the Spark tags, in the init function, we will replace the default base image with the Spark base image. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. And is the FlyteKit plugins Envd installed as part of FlyteKit, or should it be installed separately?
You mean the MD plugin?
Envd, yeah.
Yeah, MD plugin will install MD and then Flyte. So you just just install the Flyte plugin MD. Yeah.
Okay. All right. If there are
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry. This is Ketan, by the way. That we should probably make every plugin have a base image.
Yeah.
So that
we like to do that.
Yeah, because then like let's say you use Dask or you use Pandera or Great Expectation, they just are there already installed, and so makes it super fast to start using new things.
Yeah. So for now, we only replace the base image in Spark plugin. So we will like to update all the backend plugin Redux in the future. Yeah.